Hello, and welcome back to Walk the Cinema podcast. It's the fourth part of our Oscar highlights series, and today we are going to be talking about Minari.
Yes, ma'am.
So, Minari is basically about a Korean immigrant family that has relocated from California to Arkansas to start a farm. And
Mm-hmm.
um, later on, kind of in the film, uh, the grandma comes and it's just kind of a I guess you could call it a slice of life type movie.
Yeah, it's the story of a family. This could be a true story. This could be anything that we'd see in small town America.
Yeah, I do think that I read that this is based on the director's upbringing.
Yeah, but more dramatized, obviously. But at some points, it feels like it could be a documentary
Yeah.
because the emotions are so honest. I
Hmm.
suppose they're not trying to be manipulative in any way. That he feels certain slice of life, fly on the wall type documentary.
Right. I feel like one of the opening shots is them going to their new house, which is a trailer on the land that they just bought, and immediately seeing the inside of the trailer just brought me back to my grandmother's because she lives in a trailer that looks
Yeah. Shout out
like
Grandma Pat.
it looks almost like an exact replica of her trailer. Like, and she's had it since the 80s, which is I think is when this movie takes place.
Yes, it is. It's during the
So
80s.
it's very much it's a little trippy for me because I'm like I can picture my grandma's house while watching this movie. Even even the ceiling in in their trailer, it had like those molding things across
Mm.
it. Even that's the same.
It just goes to show the authenticity of everything in this.
Yeah.
And it was also carried by great performances. I think this year was blessed by stacked ensemble performances. This is another great one.
Yeah, it was. I thought everyone really put their heart into their roles.
You even get a child, a young boy, giving a bilingual performance and being extremely convincing.
Yeah, it's I mean that felt incredibly lifelike, I guess.
And this is, I don't know how old he is. He looks maybe six.
He looks young. I don't know how old he is exactly,
He's
but
very young and he's speaking in two different languages and still killing it and killing the cowboy look.
yes. Yes.
Those are amazing boots. I'm a little jealous. I couldn't pull those off.
Yeah. But even the smaller characters, Paul,
Hmm.
one of the
Paul, yeah.
workers,
I was gonna bring up Paul.
yeah, he feels like a person I've met in small town
He's
America.
very funny that way.
Yeah.
Like funny unintentionally.
Yeah.
Well, it's intentional for the movie, but the character isn't funny on purpose. It's just the way he is.
Yeah.
He feels very respectful too,
I agree.
which I don't know how it was for Asian Americans in the 80s, but respectful enough, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially there's a scene where they go to the church
Hmm.
uh for the first time. And there's like remarks that happen, and I thought they were going to go way worse than how
Yeah,
they were portrayed. For
they
example,
they
um,
showed more curiosity than
yeah, exactly.
offense.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like with the children, there was the little girl that approached the
Hmm.
Anne was the character's name.
I feel like that's something you'd do.
No, oh my God. I didn't grow up in small town America, but she goes up to the girl and asks, "Stop me if I say anything in your language," and then makes random
Yeah,
noises.
random racist noises, really.
Yeah, and
But she
I
doesn't do it in a way that comes off too racist, I suppose.
I thought it was going to be more racist than what it was.
Hmm.
Because the girl does stop her and she's like, "Oh, Como means aunt in Korean,"
Hmm.
and then she gets like really excited that she said something in
Yeah,
Korean.
yeah.
So it is more of a curiosity than it is intentionally being mean,
Hmm.
which I guess is as good as you can get for 1980s.
I mean, it might be worse right now. There's a lot of Asian American hate going around,
Yeah, there is.
which we're not going to really address, but
Yeah, it does. It's not a great thing, but
we stand with the Asian American communities. We're
yes,
not going to spread any hate here.
exactly. But even kind of back to the movie, their jobs that they work at the hatchery, sexing chicks, uh even that is reminds me of my where my grandmother lives because my uncle used to work at a place like that, you know. It's just a lot about this movie actually kind of reminded me of how my mom grew up and of
Yeah.
my grandma, which I wasn't expecting,
Hmm.
but
They're not Asian,
no.
by the way, so she doesn't.
No, that's why I was like, you know, this is kind of weird that this movie reminds me so much of being at my grandma's house.
But talk about Grandma Pat. The movie really changes once the grandma comes into the scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and then it becomes more than just the father trying to make a living for the family. It's also mostly how the little boy handles the grandma
Mm-hmm.
and how he grows to appreciate her more than because he initially hates her.
Yeah, he kind of blames her for all the problems that his family is having because, you know, his parents are arguing about stuff. They both the
Mhm.
children kind of sense that their parents are going to divorce.
Yeah. The parents seem to think that the children are more Korean than what they are culturally. The children feel very Americanized,
Mm-hmm.
but the grandma and the mother act like they're Korean children and have the Korean values, and the kids are not really into that.
Yeah, I think that at least I think the Anne tries a little bit harder than David, but David is younger and he's not as like he hasn't developed how to read a room yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's at
He's a little rascal.
yeah, he's at the age where he can't help but say what's on his mind, you know?
Yeah, he sees everyone else have this type of grandma or this type of family. And then when she comes around and she has the Korean values, he thinks it's awful and weird and she's gross because
Mm-hmm.
she wants to drink mountain water and she gives him food that was in her mouth, which is just the stuff that
It's
she
just
grew up
Mountain
with.
Dew. Which I was like,
But the grandma's incredibly loving and she puts in a lot of effort.
mm-hmm, she
She
does.
put a lot more effort than I could physically do. She even drank his pee at one point because he tricked her. And instead of beating him or getting super mad at him, she understood where he was coming from, I guess.
Yeah, I thought that was incredibly like,
That was the best part of the movie for me was that their relationship.
mm-hmm.
Of course, there's an underlying story of a family trying to rebuild itself, but the runtime really flew for me.
It did for me too. And I don't know, there's just something about it that like I just really enjoyed. It almost kind of feels nostalgic. I think it's because it reminds me so much of being in small town America and
Yeah,
just that kind of way of life where they basically move to a city or a town where everybody knows everybody, everybody knows everybody's business because
yeah,
they kind of like allude to that because there's were several instances where people mentioned the man who used to own their property.
yeah, yeah.
So everybody knows everybody's business.
Everybody knew who he was, and everyone knew why he failed and had to sell the property.
Well, yeah, and that the previous owner had killed himself, you know.
Yeah, I'm a city boy. I've been to Southern America, but not that far south.
I mean,
So
Arkansas is it is a southern city, I guess, but I don't know. I never really like thought about it because I haven't been to Arkansas really.
no, I've been to Arkansas.
But it seems about right, or it seems like it's pretty similar to Alabama a little bit.
Yeah, I think everything about it feels about right. Like there's no fakeness. The
Hmm.
emotions aren't like overly large, maybe except for the ending. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But it feels like you could see yourself in their shoes all the time because it's not like it's anything crazy going on. It's the minor inconveniences of life or having to live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
But it's nothing crazy that's going on. There is the kid has heart palpitations. That turns out to be fine in the end. So
Yeah.
yay.
Again, with like, I really was not expecting for this to match up with my family life at all because, like, even the little boy having a hole in his heart, like my mom had a hole in her heart. They didn't know until she, grew up, but even that kind of felt, wow, eerily similar because I mean, she grew up in the 80s.
Yeah.
She was a kid in the 80s and she lived on this plot of land on the top of a mountain. They weren't farmers, but you know, they were still
Yeah,
lower class.
the hole in the heart thing really I think talked to me too because I had a hole in my heart before you came into my life.
Oh my goodness. I wasn't expecting you to say that. I was like, you had a hole in your heart? How come I've never heard this? No, but like I was very pleasantly surprised how much I could at least see my family
I think
within
everyone
this
can see
movie.
themselves at some points in this because it's a very generalized movie. Their situation is unique in their own way, but every family struggles with arguments and with
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the cash is low.
Yeah, and
Everyone goes through that at some
I
point.
feel like with this story, the one of the big points is that Stephen Yoon's character Jacob uh, feels like being successful is more important than his family's
Hmm.
well-being, I guess, where he does kind of admit that after they go to the doctor to make sure David's heart is okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of men, especially that have families, that kind of also have that same mentality where they do love their family, obviously, but they feel like they have to be successful,
Yeah. And he
even if
does a
it means,
lot
yeah,
towards that.
yeah. And I think that he also there was a brief moment at the beginning of the film where they were talking about their money problems initially, and Monica says something along the lines of, well, who got us into this money situation? And he has to justify it saying that he's the oldest son in his family, so he had to help them, and now they're well off.
Yeah.
And so it kind of feels like he might feel like their situation is his fault, so he
Hmm.
has to succeed because if
Yeah.
he succeeds, then they succeed.
It feels like there's definitely a lot of pressure on him,
Mm-hmm.
not only by him but also by his wife, because his wife is incredibly worried about everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like that's pretty accurate too.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah. I think that Jacob wanting so badly to make this work does prove that he does care about his family.
Yeah,
It's just hard, I guess, because
sometimes
like
it's hard
in
for men to show emotion that way,
yeah.
especially when you're supposed to be the strong one
Mm-hmm.
and the confident one and the one that takes care of things. It's hard to show that sometimes you might be scared that you can't provide.
Yeah, and I think that some part of their situation is cultural, just because of that comment about how he had to help his family since he's the oldest,
Hmm.
where I've kind of feel like American culture doesn't facilitate that. Like there's no obligation to help your family once you leave the house. A lot of people do still help their family, but not at the cost of their well-being. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're proximate family.
Yeah.
You're not going to help your brother and your sisters in the same way you're going to help your children.
Exactly. And I think that that's kind of I feel like I've noticed it in other cultures more than I notice it in American culture.
Yeah. I'm going to jump here to the real heartbreaking part of the movie where
Hmm.
they're coming back to the farm after things seem to have settled down to some extent, and it's going up, and they might have some stability, and the farm is burning up because of the grandma, and that one kind of really hurt.
Yeah, it hurt me too. Where she just suffered a stroke. She's kind of, not in the best condition health wise.
Mm-hmm.
She's definitely scared and confused and doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah. They don't blame her though.
No, they don't. It's good. I think it'd be
Yeah,
hard not to
but
though.
it's. I mean, it would be really hard not to. The father does everything he possibly can to make anything work, and when it kind of finally does, he gets destroyed in an instant.
Yeah.
So that's the only melodramatic emotion throughout the entire movie,
Mhm.
but it's still not unrealistic.
No.
But I feel like that, I don't know how adapted from his real life that is.
I don't know, but I do think it needed like some type of um catalyst, I guess.
I
Cuz
think it worked perfectly. I'm
yeah,
not complaining.
but like I- they had just him and his wife had just kind of decided that they were going to go their own way at this point, and
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gave the catalyst to he chose his wife over saving the produce in the farm, or in the barn.
Yeah.
So
But
you
I'm
do
really sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say you do realize that he loves his family more than his potential success.
Yeah, that's his arch.
Yeah.
But I do love the attention that this movie got. I wouldn't expect it to get this much attention, but it did, and it's fully deserved. It's wonderful, it's cute, tender, sensitive,
Yeah.
touching, talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show stopping,
Best of all
spectacular.
time.
Yeah.
No, it's good.
So,
It's good.
yeah, I got those six nominations.
Hmm.
Yeah, Best Actor for Steve Ewan. Yeah, Supporting Actress for The Grandma, played by Yu Han Jun. I hope I'm not butchering it.
Yoon Ha Jung, maybe.
He got Best Director for Lee Isaac Chung, Original Screenplay, Score, and obviously Best Picture. So I don't like the score.
I kind of liked the score.
I really didn't. It wasn't enough to hate it,
Uh huh.
but it's also enough to not understand why it's being nominated. But you can tell me why you like it.
Well, I don't know if I'm qualified to justify this or not, but I just kind of liked it because I felt like it fit the movie pretty well, where it's kind of understated and it's a little, kind of.
I don't think it's the understand, especially the earlier parts. It plays Asian type
Hmm.
inspired music, and it kind of distracted me a little bit.
Hmm.
There's some scenes where the score just seems more dramatic than the movie itself.
I don't know. I didn't really. I personally didn't get that. I kind of thought it was cute. At least the parts that I really noticed.
It also got the screenplay and the director. I think it they're probably my least favorite ones within the category of screenplay and director. They're both nominations for Lee Isaac Chung. I'm not against them, but they're probably my least favorite ones.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, the directing category is a little unpredictable this year.
A little. Though I don't know. I thought that this was what I think it deserved. I'm not going to say he didn't deserve either of the things he got
No,
nominated.
no, no. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. Actually, I think that the screenplay grows on you the more you sit on it.
Hmm.
The
Well,
directing, I didn't see anything spectacular about it, but I wouldn't take it away from him either.
yeah, I would say that that's probably true. Like there's nothing too spectacular about it, but it's still good. And as for the writing, I did kind of look up a little bit of the process behind it, and he did it in the same way that The Farewell was written,
Mm-hmm.
where he basically wrote it all in English and then had it translated into Korean, the parts that he wanted.
Yes, but I like the screenplay for Farewell much more. It's much more complicated too.
Mm.
Not that not that it's better because it's more complicated. I just prefer it personally, but it expands the world that it's in more than this one does. This one is very much in Arkansas.
Yeah, which is fine. You know, it's
Oh, I love the movie.
yeah, it's good.
The acting nominations are no brainers, and the Best Picture as well.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that I'm gonna butcher her name. Yoon Ya Jung.
Hmm.
Sorry. Um, I thought she did an amazing job
They
in
all did.
supporting
It's
actress.
it's an it's a really ensemble piece.
Yeah,
It's
it's
what
just
it's what the trial Chicago 7 thought it was going to be.
we're not there
Spoilers.
yet. We're not there yet.
Spoilers for that one.
No, but I thought that Stephen Young did an amazing job as Jacob, and I really appreciate that he has an Academy Award nomination because I still remember him from his Walking Dead days,
Hmm.
which
I
were
think
my
this is a first nomination for a East Asian male supporting, sorry,
actor.
main actor. Yeah,
Yeah, you might be right, but I'm not. I don't wanna. I don't know for sure.
I'm making a statement right now. This is the first nomination for an Eastern Asian actor in a leading role. We do our research.
Hmm. We researched this extensively.
We're not just babbling idiots.
Hmm. No, but they both did amazing. I can't say enough good things about their acting, really. Everything about it felt seamless to me.
The transitions between the languages felt seamless because
Hmm.
he's very confident in his Korean, but not so much in his English.
Yeah.
When he transitions to English, he seems a little more held back,
I agree.
and it really really works.
Yeah.
Even the little boy David was really good.
Yeah. I don't live in a bilingual family, but I did have several friends that did, and just watching them interact with their parents and interact with like me or our other friends that only spoke English, like that
Yeah,
also kind of felt real, where especially the kids where they kind of are talking to the grandma
yeah.
and they
I
kind
think
of
even for me, when I transition languages, because I do transition languages sometimes, and I think it's harder than what he makes it appear to be.
hmm.
Sometimes my brain gets a little confused when I switch out of English and into English.
Yeah. I got that from some of my friends too growing up, where their brain sometimes didn't register that they were switching languages.
Yeah, that
So,
happens.
you know, I'd start speaking to them when they were thinking in Spanish, and then I'd start speaking English, and they looked at me like I was crazy, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, you were speaking English. I'm sorry." But
I've embarrassed myself in front of your family doing that.
I've never noticed. I don't think they have either. They always
Well,
say
I'm
how
not going to
good
bring
you
it up then.
speak.
Well, yeah.
They always say, "Oh, he doesn't have an accent at all."
Well, You can tell us in the comments if I have an accent. Because I'm not a native speaker.
No.
But yeah, final rating.
I give it a 9 out of 10.
I am right there with you.
I thought it was. I think that a lot of the rating for me is just how nostalgic I felt watching it. Just that way of life in general.
I just think it's good.
And it's, yeah, and the story's sweet. And I'm a sucker for these kind of sweet growing up stories.
We all miss our childhood. It's way harder now.
The rules have changed. There's so much you have to do.
But what hasn't changed is us asking you to like and subscribe at the end of every episode.
Yes, and we'll be back with another episode on Thursday, which I think we'll be covering Nomadland.
Woo,
Another great one.
that's a good one too.
So stay tuned.
All right, see you then.